Hey guys, I'm Rich from NeoWin, and today we're unboxing the Lenovo Legion Y540. Lenovo offered this to me the other day, and I had to check to make sure I hadn't reviewed it already because it's getting a little confusing. I've reviewed, Lenovo's gaming lineup, that's Legion, right? Started with the 20 series. So we had the 520, the 720, and the 920. And the 920 was the big beast, with the GTX 1080 graphics. They never did another 900 series. Instead, they followed that up with the Y530 and the 730, and the 730 had 17-inch and 15-inch variants. And not the best stuff, really. The graphics only went up to a GTX 1050 Ti, so it was kind of, all right. So they had promised at the time that they would refresh those when NVIDIA's new graphics came out. They didn't. They didn't. They promised that those would come in configurations with NVIDIA's new graphics. Instead, they just released new models. Okay, so we've got the Y740, which comes in 17 and 15-inch variants. I reviewed those already. I reviewed most generations of these products. That one comes with RTX 2080 and 2070. That supports real-time ray tracing, all that good stuff. So this guy right here, this comes with a NVIDIA GTX 1660 Ti. So still pretty beefy stuff because it's still the new generation of NVIDIA GPUs. If you had a GTX 1080, it's not quite on par with that, but it's way better than if you had a 1060 or a 1050 Ti, something like that. So I'm actually pretty excited because I haven't yet tested out the 1660 Ti. So the last we're gonna start getting this open because it's one of those gaming laptop boxes that it's not entirely simple. So the last gaming laptop from Lenovo that I reviewed was the 15-inch Y740. I reviewed both the 17 and the 15-inch models with the RTX 2080 and the 2070 respectively. So now this one's 1660 Ti. It's got a Core i7-9750H, and that's obviously 9th generation core processor. That's what the 9 means. And 8 series, it's a 45 watt hexa-core chip. So the CPU, that's pretty much top of the line. I mean, there's an i9 as well, but i7's obviously up there. 16 gigs of RAM. According to the reviewer's guide, it's got a terabyte SSD, which is pretty impressive. I'm going to look into that a little bit. So 3 USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A ports, a Type C port. So let's just see what else is in the box before we actually look at the PC, because this is a big box and I really want to get it out of the way. Okay, so we've got this bad boy over here, which should come in handy if you're taking it apart. Now we have a 230 watt power brick. That's a lot, and I'm kind of surprised that it needs 230 watts. And then of course we have our power cable here. It charges through Lenovo's proprietary USB Type A shaped charger. I don't like it, and the reason I don't like it is because it's almost the same size as a USB Type A port. So if you use one of these things, chances are at some point you're going to try to stick that thing in the USB port, or you're going to try to stick a USB cable in the power port. And of course, the bad news with that is that USB Type-C doesn't support that kind of wattage. So anything that needs a 230 watt charger is not going to be USB Type-C. So that's completely understandable. So just looking at this, it's very nice. I like this machine. It's black, where the Y730 had a gray hood. This is textured. The other one wasn't. So this machine is actually made out of plastic, and you really wouldn't know by looking at it. It's quite nice. You can make nice plastic designs. That's okay. One thing that you're missing out on from the 700 series is the RGB keyboard. The keyboard is going to be backlit here, but it's going to be all white. So that is one thing that you miss out on. Otherwise, the bodies of the machines are pretty much the same, right? It's 2.3 kilograms or 5.07 pounds. And that is one thing that I like about this generation of Legion laptops is because, let me tell you, when they first came out with the Legions, I said I reviewed that Y920, and I won't forget it because it was just such it was the top of the line one, so it was so powerful. But it weighed nearly 10 pounds, possibly over, I don't remember, but it was around 10 pounds. It was nuts. I reviewed mobile workstation PCs that are around 10 pounds. So generally, when you want more power, you're going to end up with a heavier machine. So around 5 pounds for something like this is quite nice. And I'm pretty excited to use it. So let's take a closer look. All right, so we can see that the screen turns all the way back to 180 degrees here, which is pretty cool. Is it going to boot up? Yes, it's going to boot up. So like I said, it's just a white backlit keyboard. This is a pretty common thing for entry-level gaming machines, we'll say. Although I don't know if I'd call this closer to mainstream because the 1660 Ti is quite powerful considering how new it is. It's not as good as a 1080, but just considering how new it is, it's the latest architecture, so it's good stuff that we've got here. White RGB. You can see the display has narrow bezels all around. Okay, webcam on the bottom. Unfortunately, this saddens me a little bit because honestly, some companies put the webcam on the bottom to make narrower bezels. Dell did it with the XPS 13, and when I asked Dell, they would say something like, well, how often do you use your webcam? And I'd say never, and they'd say exactly. I'd say touche. But here's the thing about this is that you might be using your webcam for streaming with a gaming laptop. So this was the same case with the 15-inch Y740. They put the webcam under the display like that, and same thing here. So standard laptop keyboard. It's not a mechanical. The only Legion that I've seen with a mechanical keyboard was the Y920, which I keep bringing up for some reason. The trackpad is not clickable, as you'd probably expect. A lot of gaming laptops don't have clickable trackpads. You don't really want that on a gaming laptop, I guess, because you don't want to accidentally click when you don't want to, right? So there's these physical buttons on the bottom instead. Okay, 1080p, 144 hertz display, by the way. Over here, USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A port and a 3.5 millimeter combo audio jack. If we look over on this side over here, we've got another USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A port. So where's everything else, you might ask? It's over here. Okay, so this is where you're going to plug in power, wired Ethernet, HDMI, USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A, USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type C. It's becoming quite a bit of a mouthful to say USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A. Anyway, and DisplayPort. Okay. So USB 3. It's a running joke at NeoWin that USB 3.1 Gen 1 and USB 3.0 are the exact same thing, right? And sometimes you'll see these spec sheets where it'll say USB 3.0 Type A and then USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type C. And even though they mean the same thing. And what's crazy is that next, USB 3.2 Gen 1 will mean the exact same thing. They just, don't get me started on USB naming. One thing I like about this machine, I do like the textured cover. It's plastic, but I like the, I really can't even tell what color this is by looking at it. I think it's like a glossy black, but it almost looks like a mirrored chrome color. So this Legion light, if I can get it to light up, you see it lights up white. And that's another thing that's different from the Y700 series. That would light up with RGB and you'd have control over that. So a big part of the design that Lenovo went with when they launched the Y530 and the 730, which again, these are almost exactly the same machines as the 530 and the 730 because you just got the new graphics now. You've got a better display with 144 hertz. But other than that, the same machines. So the idea was that it's not meant to be flashy like your typical gaming laptop. This is meant to look professional, sleek, but also also like a gaming laptop when you need it to. So you don't have to feel embarrassed taking this into work, taking it into your office, and then you can just lift it up, and it looks like a stylish PC, and that's what's really cool about it. Okay, and yeah, that's about all there is to show, I guess, right now. I mean, yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to be testing this out in a variety of ways because I'm very curious about the GTX 1660 Ti. I've seen the news announcements and some benchmarks, but I'm very curious to actually use it for various things. One, for gaming, obviously. I've used many desktops. Obviously, I use a lot of PCs. My main desktop has a GTX 1080. So I'm curious to see how close this comes to that. I'm curious to see how it performs compared to RTX graphics, which I've also reviewed many RTX machines, and I've seen the difference in graphics quality between a game that supports real-time ray tracing and playing that on a GTX card as well. So that's going to be fun. I also just subscribed to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, so I don't have to buy a whole bunch of games to review gaming hardware anymore. I can just download it from the Microsoft Store. So I'll have a bunch of games to play. But also what I'm going to do is video editing, because video editing to me is a very interesting case, because a lot of people edit videos. A lot of people throw videos up on YouTube, whatever. And obviously you want a GPU for that. You can do it on a laptop with integrated graphics. It's just going to be slow and a little rough at times. So you want that GPU. So people that do it professionally might want a mobile workstation GPU with Quadro graphics. You also might want GTX or RTX graphics. And that's where this interests me, because you might not need... I haven't really noticed a huge difference in rendering times between GTX 1080 and RTX 2080. But you might not need to go all out and spend that... $600 or so that RTX is going to cost. Like the GTX 1660 Ti might do the trick. So if it does, I'm curious to see that this might be the machine for the person that's gaming at home and editing some video at work and just wants a machine that's kind of good at everything. This just might fit that profile. Again, it's got a 15.6 inch 1080p display, 300 nits, 144 hertz, which is pretty nice. I prefer 4K, but for gaming, you want that lower resolution with the higher refresh rate. It totally makes sense. GTX 1660 Ti. I'm reading off a spec sheet now. 16 gigs DDR4, 2666, 1 terabyte solid state drive, which I'm still skeptical on. Because it's actually kind of funny the way that Lenovo sends out when they offer a review unit. They kind of say like, this is the specs of the config that you're getting, and it just says like CPU, display, and RAM, and it says HDD, and what they mean is storage. But it always kind of throws me off. So it's like this might actually have a terabyte SSD in it, which is pretty cool. I don't think I've ever used a gaming laptop or a gaming PC with a terabyte SSD in it. Usually these things come with like a 256 gigabyte SSD and then like a terabyte HDD, and that because this is the 530 is the lower end model of the Legion Y series, I kind of assumed that it might just have that 1 terabyte HDD. So yeah, I'm gonna look further into that. Obviously, we got a couple weeks to review this thing. 57 watt hour battery, Dolby Atmos, so it should have some good audio quality. Cool stuff, you know. And yeah, I'm excited to spend more time with this. I like 15.6 inch gaming laptops. 17 inches is a little too much for me, just because it's like at 17 inches it gets hard to fit into a bag. And if I can't fit into the bag, that means I can't carry it around. If I can't carry it around, why did I get a gaming laptop at all? Why don't I just get a desktop? You know, that's where I stand on it. And obviously I know other people have use cases. They might travel. You know, they might put it in luggage or something. I don't know. They might have a bigger bag. But that's it, guys. So I'm going to have a review on this in a few weeks. So stay tuned for that. I'm Rich from NeoWin. Have a great night.